Hello, I'm Dineshi Ramesh, a director at Board Intelligence.
I'm Catherine Stalker and I'm a director at Independent Audit.
Catherine, we're here today to talk about chairing meetings. It's a subject that's close to both our hearts. At Board Intelligence, we care about the conversations our boards are having and making those better. And we do that through the medium of the information that they receive in the board pack, but also guiding them on how to have an effective meeting. What's your perspective?
So at Independent Audit, we do external board evaluations. We're looking at elements that can make a board better. And one of the key elements is the leader of the board, the chairman.
So tell me about the hallmarks of a great chair.
There's a lot of different elements to being a good chairman, and that's why it's quite a difficult job. But let's start with one of the simple ones, watching the time. It seems simple, but in fact there's quite a few different elements to it, because you have to make sure that you cover the ground and have a good discussion about each of the elements on the agenda. At the same time, you have to reach a consensus and finish the meeting on time.
And it's really tough to get a balance between being strict and on agenda and finding the time for those really important conversations and getting the balance right.
That's right, and good chairmen, they'll flex the agenda. So when they feel that there's a really good discussion being had, maybe one that hasn't been surfaced in the past, they'll let it continue and save time on elements later on in the agenda. You
mentioned agendas. The agenda is where a good meeting actually starts. And if you've got a great agenda, you're much more likely to have a better meeting. And what do I mean by a good agenda? Well, that you have a balance between steering and supervisory items, and that you afford time to have fewer, deeper conversations. So I see agendas sometimes which are a series of 5 or 10 minute conversations, one after another. And that's baffling because it gives hardly anyone any time to really engage with the subject. What's your take?
So sometimes we hear the chairman's not good at time management and people get quite grumpy about that. But in fact, it's the agenda that's not working well. It hasn't been set up well in the first place to make the meeting flow and to have those better conversations, but still end in time.
How much should a chair speak in a meeting?
The leader of the meeting, whether it's the chairman or the CEO, their opinion carries a lot of weight. So they have to be very careful to facilitate the meeting, but not to dominate it. It's quite easy for a chairman to want to dive in with their opinions right at the beginning of the discussion. They shouldn't do that. They should hold back, wait for some other people to give their opinions first, and then add their opinion into the fray.
And summing up clearly is really important, because sometimes the conversation that precedes is rambling, inconclusive, and it's the chair's opportunity to bring real clarity to what's been said, not to mention the poor company secretary who has to take a decent set of notes, right?
Yeah, and sometimes when you've been in a meeting, not all the participants know what the outcome was of a particular discussion, which shows that it hasn't been summed up well. The other trap that some chairmen fall into is only giving their opinion when they come to sum up. Now, when they do that, it means that the other board members don't really have the chance to come back, because they are actually swaying the outcome of the discussions by giving their opinion forcefully at the very end when time's run out.